All right, welcome back today. Today we're working on lesson 4.8, Pythagorean Theorem. And we're specifically going to just work on when we don't know the C of the Pythagorean Theorem, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. All right, our essential question is, how do you find the missing length using the Pythagorean Theorem? So our missing length will be in a triangle. It's always going to be a right triangle today. So every problem will have a right triangle. Now, the Pythagorean theorem states that we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So it's kind of small, so I'm going to write it nice and big. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now we have to know what those mean. Like, what is a, what is b, what is c? A and b are what they call the legs, okay? The legs are the things that attach to the right triangle. They make the right triangle happen. And then C is always the thing across from the right triangle, the line across from it. It's always the longest side. We call that the hypotenuse. Kind of a funny word, hypotenuse. But it's always across from the right angle. It's the longest side of the triangle. And that's what we're going to be trying to find today. So the Pythagorean theorem states that if we take A, side length A, and square it, and then add it to b squared, so we square b, it'll always equal side c squared. So we can always find side c using this equation. Let's go practice. All right, so I'm going to fill in the a squared plus b squared equals c squared according to what I know in this problem. Now, it doesn't matter which one you choose as the a and which one you choose as the b. I'm just going to choose 4 is going to be my a and 5 will be my b. So A, plugging in what I know, A is 4 is what I said, so 4 squared, plus the B is 5 squared. That'll always equal C squared. Well, if you don't know these answers, you get out your handy calculator, and you do 4 squared, which is 16, plus 5 squared, which is 25, still equals C squared, because we haven't done anything on this side. Well, we can solve the 16 plus the 25. So 16 plus 25 equal, whoops, I'm not going to write that. I already wrote that. I got a little behind myself there. 16 plus 25 is 41 equals c squared. Now that's not our answer. C is not 41. We still have the square. And we've talked about in the last week or so about how to get rid of that square. So what undoes the square? We take the square root of both sides. So remember, the opposite of adding is subtracting. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So the opposite of a square is a square root. That cancels it out. So now we're left with just C. So we get our calculator out. We read the directions. It says round to the nearest hundredth. So I'm going to write down 3 numbers. I know hundredth is only 2 numbers, but I'm going to write down 3 numbers. So I'm going to take the square root of 41 in my calculator, and it gives me 6.403. So I wrote the third number down because that's going to tell my second number, the hundredth spot, what to do. The 3 tells the 0 to stay the same. So 6.40 equals C. So my length over here is 6.40. And this number, by the way, it should be longer than the other 2 sides. Because remember, we said the hypotenuse is the longest side. And it is. So C equals 6.40. Let's go to the next problem and give it a try. All right. So I'm going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The directions say round to the nearest hundredth again. All right. Let's pick. I'm going to pick 5 as my a again. 7 is my b. We're looking for c. So a is 5 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. So now you go and you do the squaring. So 5 squared is 25 plus 7 squared is 49 equals c squared. Then we add them, and we get 74 equals c squared. Now, how do you get rid of that square? You have to undo it by doing the opposite, which is the square root. That cancels out that square. It goes away so that we are only left with c. All right, so what is the square root of 74? It is 8 point, and remember, round to the nearest hundredth, 8.602. So that 2 tells that 0 to stay the same. We'll see. All right. Remember to pause the video if you need. Find the length of the hypotenuse, round to the nearest hundredth again. This time we need to go and put our points in. So this should form a right triangle, hopefully. Let's see. So first point, -2, -2. So left 2, down 2, 1, 2. Hopefully you remember how to graph. Left 2, up 4. And 3, -2. So right 3, 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2. And it does. I have my right triangle here. There it is. Now, remember, side lengths are A and B. So this is my A. I'm going to pick over here. This is my B. And this is my longest number because this is the side across from the right. So that's my C. Now, how do I know the lengths? Well, I just count my squares. So how many squares do I have for A? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And how many do I have for B? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So B is 5. Now I go and I find it by using the Pythagorean theorem. All right, I said my A is 6 squared plus my B is 5 squared equals C squared. So I'm going to take 6 squared and I'm going to get 36 plus 5 squared, 25 equals C squared. 36 plus 25, 61 equals C squared, but I got to get rid of that square. So the opposite of that is taking the square root. It cancels it right out. So I'm left with C equals, and remember, round to the nearest hundredth. So take the calculator out. Square root of 61 is 7.810. So what's that 0 tell that 1 to do? Stay the same. 7.81 equals C. All right. Remember, pause the video if you need. Next problem. 2 airplanes leave the same airport at the same time. The first plane flies to a landing strip 350 miles south. Okay, so south will be down. So I'm going to label this one 350 miles. Well, that's a bad 50. I'm going to fix that. 350. Now we can read it better. Okay, while the other plane flies west. West is left. So 725 miles. How far apart are the 2 planes after they land? So we're looking for that C. How far apart are they now? Well, these are going to be some ginormous numbers. We're still going to use A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So the first one, you can pick. I'm going to pick the top one as A squared. 725 squared plus 350 squared equals C squared. Now, you're definitely going to need your calculator, so get that out and start squaring these huge numbers. Oh my goodness, the first one is a very large number. Let's see here, what is that? 525,625 plus 350 squared, so 350 squared. Oh my goodness, this is a ginormous number as well. Equals C squared. It's 122,500. Okay, now let's add them together. So use your calculator for that. And if I add them all together, I get an even bigger number. That is, let's see here, 648,125. Well, how do I get rid of it? Square root it. Okay, does it say to round anything? It doesn't. So let's see what we get when we take the square root of that huge number, 648,125. Is it a whole number? It is not. So it's a 805.06 miles. All right, that's a pretty good indication. So about 805 miles apart. All right, one more problem. Two birds leave the same spot, so same idea here. The first bird flies to its nest 11 miles south, so I'm going to do 11 miles here because that's south down. And the other one flies 7 miles west. How far apart are they? All right, so we should use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I'm going to pick the top one to be my a just because it looks like it's the first one. No other reason. And the next one, 11 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. Okay, so let's see here. So 7 squared is 49, plus 11 squared is 121. Okay, equals c squared. Now if we add them together, we get 170 equals c squared. And we're going to take the square roots to eliminate the square to find out how far apart the birds are. And the square root of 170 is about 13.038. You know, we've been rounding the nearest hundredth this whole time, so let's do that. This 8 will round that 3 up, so it's about 13.04 miles apart. All right, best of luck on your homework.